send them to the refugee camps across the country. Put a diaspora desk in the Electoral Commission. Let diaspora submit. We can make miracles. But this is a test when there's a political commitment and political will from the political leadership. So I think for me, the opinion of the IO is something that we should consider, and not only IO, several states can raise. It's a very good green patcher for opposition to say, now we don't consider you as a government, and you're no longer legitimate, and we have all possible ways to do whatever we want, which I think any party in the current government want to avoid that. And specifically, since they have tested the sweetness of sitting in a government which is big in size, that's going to be there. Maybe I can say, based on this answer, will option of extension be possible? I don't think extension is going to be possible. Why? Because extension will be a political suicide for the president. Because His Excellency President have mentioned in several public events, no more extension. His speech of graduation of the Unified Forces, his speech of the rollout of the roadmap, his speech of the close of the year 2023 and open 2022, open 2023, his speech during the reconstitution of the institutions that we have seen right now, and his speech of the close of the year 2022, 2023, 2024. So all these speeches, and even his address on the UN Security Council, I'm not ready for extension. It means any extension become a suicide mistake. It really is a suicide, political suicide for the leadership of the country. So they will be opposed to elections. The question comes is the will for accepting electoral results, do the political parties have or not? That is for me, the fear is that if the political parties want to calculate a game of winning the elections in an undemocratic way, it's actually a call for the country to return back to violence. And that's why we've been calling them that there's a need to open windows for civic and political space to exist. Are the parties ready for elections? I feel the parties as institutions are compelled by the agreement to go for elections. But individuals in the parties are calculative. Should we go for elections or should we not go for elections? If we go for elections, should we succeed or not? What are the indicators? One of the indicators of their calculation is the 5%. The idea of the 5% coming that if I go, I fail, I need to be appointed. And that's why as a civil society was saying the 5% per the law is meant for people who will never contest elections, but will be appointed. Who are they? Minority group. We have different minority groups across the country. We have people like veterans who may not go to contest. We have people like aged persons who are aged. Or maybe we may have a South Sudanese one across the country that have a very big knowledge, like Kim Jong-un, to make for us nuclear weapons. Then we need him in the parliament. So that's that rare knowledge. They should be benefited from the 5%, rather than a politician who went to contest and failed and need to be appointed. So the appointees of 66 of 2010 election should not dream that they're going to come back through 5%. No. That is completely a violation of the electoral law. And that's why we are calling for rules and regulations to be very clear to explain that. What is political will? Political will, it means nothing. Political will, it means you accept the agreement to be implemented as you commit yourself by your signature. Now, what we have, per now we have seen, is a selective will. And the selective will is always a balancing of a political game between your personal interest and the public call. So you weigh, what time can I avail these so that my personal interest is not jeopardized by availing the public interest. So political will is always, you respond to what is called public interest. That's what we term as a political will. If you're able to respond to what public want, that is a political will. But the moment you tend to be calculative and selective in responding to public opinion, that's not a political will, and that's not a political commitment. And actually that you are showing lack of political discipline and your political immaturity. And we've seen, and across on our actions across the country as we are running the country businesses. But of course, our appeal now goes to the leadership of the Electoral Commission. As the election is concerned, it's no longer the question of the president, it's no longer the question of the first vice president, it's a question of the Electoral Commission. Can they take their will and demonstrate? If they didn't give them money, let them come out and say, citizen, up to now we have no money. Don't expect us to perform miracles. So that we say, okay, who is supposed to give the money? Then that's why we go back. But the silence of the Electoral Commission on coming out public, and actually my appeal in this particular press conference, I would ask the Electoral Commission to have regular media briefing. Let them not be locked commission. Let them be a commission that is open for media briefing to inform the public exactly what is going on, so that we as a public we can demand the political leaders to commit themselves. Otherwise, if the Electoral Commission maintains silence and restriction, and that's why I'm one of the person who is really seriously calling on the current leader of the Electoral Commission that he should establish a proper media desk that is access to information around the electoral process. Yes.
My name is Susan from Radio Milana. The issue of security has always been connected to the elections. I would like to know, or maybe you could emphasize more as to how this report has taken this into consideration.
You know, the security is a key prerequisite for the electoral process. In which sense? One, safety of the electoral officials that works with the commission, safety of the citizen who may be civically active that need to engage in political rallies, safety of political parties and their candidates during campaigns. So those particular sort of like ends or those particular characters really need security. And that's why security is very critical at that particular moment. And that's why we are calling upon, for me, I put two options that for the security to take into account. One, there's a need for the political parties to make a decision of sanctioning a specific electoral security arrangement, which is ordered in the Ministry of Interior. And I hope that as a media, you might have known that already there's an electoral security committee under the Ministry of Interior. And I hope that you can interview them, also ask them what is their plan, because I've interacted with them, they have a plan, a security committee in the Ministry of Interior. So that security committee need to be as much neutral as helped in providing safety and security for the electoral processes. Right from the staff of the commission, the citizens who want to go, even the media, your media. You remember, we have lost lives of media in terms of doing political events. So we need to make sure that also media, journalists in general are protected. That's very important in terms of security. But the unification of the forces is not going to happen as a prerequisite for the election, per my observation. Why? First, we have people who are in the army of the parties who are politically motivated. They don't adhere to the security arrangement. What are the indicators? Look at the defections. People in uniform want to defect in order to get where there's a good green patch. So you are somewhere as a captain, you defect somewhere, you become a brigadier, somewhere soon defect to become a general. So defections, these are politically motivated. And this will affect the security arrangement. Even if the parties, the only thing the parties can help security arrangement to be genuine is if they can denounce defections, if they don't support defections among the parties. And you have seen less than 2 or 3 months ago, defections across the board. People from SOA cross to SSPDF, people from SSPDF cross to IU, people from IU cross to SSPDF. And you can see the defections. All those defections are calculations in order to survive. This is the unfortunate thing that is challenging security unification. But there's a need to have a specific political decision to have a security arrangement for the elections. And my recommendation is that it is within the constitutional obligation of the Republic of South Sudan to seek assistance from international community to have a joint security process for the election. Where do I refer to? We have UN police in this country under the UN peacekeeping mission in the country. We have UN military. The police of South Sudan's police service can work together with the UN police to improve logistics in providing safety and security for the public, and that can win trust and confidence. But this requires the government of South Sudan to put an appeal officially that we need an international and regional support. Actually, even we have East African peacekeeping standby force. They can deploy specifically to provide that particular period, safety and security for citizens, for voters, for campaign candidates, for political parties, for the official election. As results are declared, we dismantle this and we look at the security arrangement. But the question is, if we don't have political decisions and we don't unify the forces, will the results not multiply other new rebels among the uniformed people? That's a question that requires political decisions. And that's why we're calling for the leaders to meet. The presidency need to meet and answer some of these questions. Any question? Okay. So we'll continue this briefing. Thank you very much for the coverage. And we hope that we'll keep continuing raising our voices. And if there's soft copy you can share, I can share with you on email. Okay. Thank you very much. That are there required by the agreement. Number one is population census. having a constitution, having security arrangement, but also we don't have judicial reforms for now. Electoral disputes management is one of the preconditions. So, based on this, as a civil society, our fourth call is that we wish the political leaders should make political decisions on preconditions that are associated with the creation of an environment for the conduct of the election by December 2024. Without proper political leadership consensus for the conduct of the elections, chances of having violent election is easier